Welcome to the Holistic Capitalist. Last time, we talked about our model for holistic capitalism called the three critical axioms. And we dealt with the first part of that, and that was the relationship between the capitalist and the employees. And our intent was to do part two and deal with the relationship between the capitalist and customers, and then with the community. But in the interest of keeping these videos briefer and easier to listen to, we're actually going to break it into three parts. So this is part two. Now, in our video called What is Holistic Capitalism, we mentioned that the critical parts of any system must be understood together for a holism to emerge. Otherwise, they remain just a pile of parts. As a recap, the critical axioms are the experiences which customers, employees, and communities have directly with capitalism. Each of these experiences come to mirror each other over time. The idea is that each of these constituents interface with the same common denominator, capitalism or capitalists themselves, and they each have linkages with each other as well. And this is foundational to many of the blogs and videos that we will publish in the future, and we hope these axioms will help us explore the polarizations and synergies that exist between each of these parts or dimensions. So in that first video on the three axioms, we focused on the employee experience with capitalism and vice versa. And that was done with a dialogical mindset, attempting to gain real insight into each experience. If you haven't watched it yet, click right here to watch it now. I'll be here when you get back. In this second video, we'll focus on the experiences customers have directly with capitalism. These are of necessity broad insights and therefore somewhat stereotypical. I apologize for that because I hate stereotypes, but see if any of these experiences mirror your own. So, what do customers experience from capitalists? Customers go to a business to fill a need. While cost and product features will probably always be the most important, today it's also possible that customers may take a broader, more holistic view. They may read on your website how much you claim to value customers and your own employees, or that you are a green company. Increasingly, it matters to them if you take pride in your corporate social responsibility program. Maybe they even see that you audit your supply chain for human rights compliance in a third world country. They think, hey, that sounds like a great company with great products, great quality, good cost, and they're socially responsible. I'm going to buy there. Then, too often, as they interact with our employees and our processes, the real customer relationship experience goes more like this. Customers should conform to our business model more than we as capitalists should understand their needs and make sure they have a great customer experience. To be sure, some exemplary businesses do manage to break through this bias and provide such a great customer experience that they become raving fans. Not many. I could list several businesses in my city that give me the feeling that I just face planted into the monolith on the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey. Do you remember that movie? You were too young to see it? Oh, you should go rent it. Great movie. In that movie, they discover an alien monolith on a planet. Or maybe it was an asteroid. I don't know. Whatever it was. The monolith was a hard, unmoving, very tall rectangle, completely unresponsive to everything that was done to it. They drilled on it and exploded and all kinds of things. It didn't affect it whatsoever. It only acted when it chose to for its own purposes and was impervious to everything else. Too often, that's what it feels like to me. An encounter with a monolithic or bureaucratic customer experience. It works like this. If I have a problem with the product or service, either I'm gradually indoctrinated into the firm's bureaucracy, which I'm not interested in, and end up settling for something less than that wow experience. Or I walk. I take my business to somebody else. Hopefully, there is a viable choice for a more holistic capitalist company that not only feeds the customer's wants for a great experience with products and services, but that they feel good about socially as well. Now let's flip it around and look at what many capitalists experience with the customer experience. As long as I've been a capitalist, I've heard several clarion calls. Customer is king. But there's also shareholders are king. Wait a minute. Cash is king. Then there's the ever popular employees are our most valuable asset. Or safety is our highest priority. Well, that's a lot of number ones. Now let's be clear. No capitalist will ever say that customers aren't a high priority. Yet the 2001 A Space Odyssey monolith continues to symbolize customer experience too often. At least for me it does. Naturally, as an organization development guy, I try to observe very specifically what it is that makes me feel that way when I have that monolithic experience. And that's what I do as a consultant for a business team looking at this issue. I help them capture the real customer experience and then identify the conflicted or stressed polarities between parts of the organization that are the most tightly linked to that customer experience. Then we take steps or intervene in those polarities and turn it back into a holistic synergy. Most commonly, the cause is that the sales or customer service people haven't been trained very well or aren't rewarded for actually listening. So in that instance, the polarities are between sales, training, and compensation. Often, sales policies, well-intentioned, exclusively protect pricing strategies or warranty claims budgets, but just aren't designed to give our employees the authority to engage in self-organizing behavior on the spot for customers and make them happy. They can't seem to find a win-win between those polarities. Sometimes the root cause or polarity is a little bit less obvious than that because it's not the direct customer interface. It could be, for example, an inventory management system that isn't tied well enough to sales or forecast. Perhaps there's a lack of integration between production scheduling or logistics and promised delivery dates for maybe an online business. Or there could be a poor synergy between quality management and production, or perhaps between warranty claims policy and the customer return process that maybe forces customers to jump through a lot of hoops to resolve a relatively simple situation. Note, this is relevant in both business to business or in business to end user relationships. None of the actual business processes behind these issues are visible to the customer directly, but they still drive the negative experience for them. In a Kaizen-based study mission to Japan years ago, I learned about quality function deployment, or QFD, which was an elaborate way to listen to customers and incorporate their feedback into products or even process improvements that impact the customers. Other tools and methods have arisen since then, such as Domaic and Six Sigma, as the pro forma approach continuous improvement grows ever more sophisticated. Isn't it interesting that we need such formal processes essentially just to listen to our customers? Despite the best efforts of my Kaizen brothers, perhaps we're not addressing the roots after all. One of my favorite quotes is from Henry David Thoreau, and it goes like this: "For every 1,000 hacking at the leaves of evil, there is one striking at the root." A major premise of our model is that the root may be the lack of real connection with the customers and our company. Until we address that, everything else we try may be just hacking at the leaves. Again, there are some wonderful exceptions. I believe these exceptions are important first movers into the holistic capitalist paradigm. And I'm betting that if you look under the hood of companies that sustain that kind of customer loyalty, they create a great employee experience as well, which illustrates a company practicing holistic capitalism has positively impacted also the customer experience through the employee experience. And thus we say the customer experience and the employee experience are inextricably linked and mirror each other over time. Even an average customer experience is not enough to reverse the commoditization of our business. It needs to be a raving fan experience, which means there must be a raving fan experience among employees. No, really, actually, that kind of experience with both. How does the miss happen? Why? Well, because it's the same skill and the same paradigm, whether dealing with employees or customers. The same limited paradigm that seduces capitalists into a disconnected pro forma experience with employees also reduces customer experiences to meaningless or ineffective pro forma slogans and initiatives. Again, I discussed in the video What is Holistic Capitalism, that when the parts of an extended system don't work synergistically together, you simply have a pile of parts, not a holism. The lack of real connection, symbolized for me by the monolith in the Space Odyssey movie, creates a lot of drag on capitalism and keeps it from reaching its full holistic potential. So that's it for our second part of our three-part series, the relationship between the capitalist and the customer. Next, we'll turn our attention to the relationship between the capitalist and the community. Thanks for listening.